A bet by DeMeco Ryans on himself and his coaching staff has made a position on the Texans one of the most interesting and one of the most scary. Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. I'm in Orlando to cover the NFL owners' meetings. We're expected to speak on Monday with head coach DeMeco Ryans, as well as members from Texans ownership. But before I do all that, I've got to talk with you here on YouTube about the cornerback position. Yes, the cornerbacks are one of the most interesting and scary positions on the entire team. This offseason, the Texans have made some huge investments in the front seven. Obviously, Danielle Hunter is one of the biggest investments in all of free agency, but Nico Autry to help add to the pass rush prowess. They've swapped out a bunch of defensive tackles to add some depth and give themselves some options there at that position, and there's maybe still some work to do at that position. Azeez Al-Shaair is a big upgrade over Blake Cashman, and he's more expensive than Blake Cashman. But the cornerback spot has been one where DeMeco Ryans and his coaching staff are to an extent betting on themselves. And I really like this move from the coaching staff. They're turning to two players that have underperformed in their NFL careers up to this point, and they're betting that the Texans coaching staff and DeMeco Ryans and his defense can draw out the most and get enough out of those players. And the Texans did that last year. This coaching staff, though it only has 1 year for us to go off of, did that very thing at the cornerback spot last year. You think about what Derek Stingley did when he got back from his injury. He was one of the best cornerbacks in all of football when he finally got healthy and returned from his injury, in large part thanks to the way the Texans used him and the overall use of Stingley within the defense and how the Texans trusted him. Desmond King shows up in the middle of the year, takes over the slot nickel corner spot, and turns into a really nice player when he was just sitting at home replacing Tavierre Thomas, who had had a roller coaster season to that point. And then Steven Nelson finishes his season, including the playoffs, with the most interceptions in his career at his older age. I mean, he's not old in regular people years, but he's old in cornerback years. And you start thinking about, hey, like this Texans coaching staff has showcased they can really draw the most out of the cornerback spot. Well, they're going to have to do that again, the way that they've set up their cornerback room. Obviously, Derek Stingley is cornerback one, though I have some concerns about his durability. He's missed significant time the past 4 football seasons that he's played. There's some concerns there about the durability, but when he plays, there's no concerns about Derek Stingley. A full season from him, and he likely is a Pro Bowler and maybe even an All-Pro for the Houston Texans. But after Derek Stingley at the cornerback 2 spot is a little bit of a battle between two former highly touted corners who have just not paid off at the NFL level. Those two players, Jeff Okudah, who previously played for the Lions and played for the Atlanta Falcons most recently, and C.J. Henderson, who played for the Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers. It has not been anywhere close to the level of success that either of those guys were expected to have when they were selected, when their teams used and selected them with top picks. Okudah was a number 3 overall pick for the Atlanta Falcons, and Henderson was another top pick for the Jaguars, and neither one of them finished that first contract with the team that selected him. Heck, Henderson didn't even finish his second season with the team that selected him. So DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio and the coaching staff and the front office and really the team as a whole have looked at those two players, identified them, and decided, hey, we can pull the potential out of one of those two guys and get enough from that cornerback 2 spot between those two guys. And I get it to an extent. I gave you the examples of the Texans doing it last year, but I certainly have some concerns about the way this thing is set up. Look, Okudah and Henderson, even when they've been good, it's been inconsistently good. They're not consistent football players. So if you got some consistency from them, first of all, that would be the first major step that the Texans need to accomplish with those players. Henderson at times has had really impressive games, and then he's had times where you can't even find him in the screen when the ball's getting passed to the wide receiver he's supposed to be defending. Same with Okudah. The consistency has not been there. If the Texans can make those guys consistent, then you can hope that the front seven takes care of business. Derek Stingley takes care of his side of the field. Hopefully a healthy safety room is helping out, and you can sort of mitigate even though formerly highly touted, currently not talented cornerback 2 spot between Okudah and Henderson. But the real hope and the real joy for this coaching staff and this team would be if the DeMeco Ryans, his defense, and his coaching staff can draw out what potential was there with Okudah and Henderson. If those guys play as above average or even good cornerbacks, the Texans have a ferocious, filthy, and nasty defense. They have one that will be tough to contend with because the pass rush will be breathing down quarterbacks' necks, and the cornerbacks will be strong and can be trusted along the lines of what we saw sometimes in the 2023 season when Steven Nelson and Derek Stingley were both playing well at the same time. The concern here in the cornerback room is apparent. One, it's Derek Stingley's durability. If he isn't on the field, all of a sudden Henderson and Okudah, 2 reclamation projects, are your top 2 corners when it comes to outside cornerback play. Obviously, if neither of those guys work out, who do you turn to at that other cornerback spot? Are you turning to a rookie who maybe you drafted in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, something like that? Are you turning to basically a career special teamer in Mike Ford? There's a lot of questions if Stingley gets hurt, if Okudah and Henderson both disappoint. The reality is the Texans need to just hit on one of those 2 guys. If they could just get solid, consistent play from one of those 2 spots, allow a rookie to grow into that cornerback 2 spot, because I'm assuming they're going to draft a rookie either in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round with the selections that they have, then you start to see how the picture at cornerback plays out over the next year plus for the Texans. The real trouble, we laid it out. If they don't get performances out of Okudah and Henderson, Stingley gets hurt, all of a sudden the cornerback spot is a huge gaping hole on this team, and the front 7 will have even more pressure on them to take care of business, to help out less talented or less proven or less experienced individuals out there at the cornerback spot. Ultimately, I love the gamble. I would have loved something a bit more consistent and stable, but the Texans had a lot that they wanted to accomplish this offseason, and you can't feel great about every position when you roll into training camp. Now, would I feel a lot better about the situation if there was an investment in cornerback via the draft and maybe, just maybe, one more veteran come training camp time to just push and really try to figure out exactly what that depth chart's going to look like? Yes, I would feel much better about it from that standpoint, but it's a position to pay attention to, and if you have full, unquestioned belief in this coaching staff, I laid it out for you last year. Stingley, best play of his career. Steven Nelson, most interceptions in a season. Desmond King off the couch, into the slot and nickel spot, and playing really well for this team. A lot to like about the potential of this coaching staff. And if they could draw out the potential of Jeff Okudah, C.J. Henderson, there's a lot to like about the cornerback room. If they can't, it could be a dicey affair for the Texans when it comes to trying to stop opposing quarterbacks. What do you think? You like the strategy the Texans have employed at the cornerback spot? Could they have made a move that was a bit different in free agency or maybe with a trade, something of that nature? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Support like yours. The thumbs up, the subscribing to the channel, the sharing of the videos, commenting. It makes trips to cover the team like this in Orlando for the owners' meetings a lot easier to accomplish, and I get to bring you hopefully great content that you enjoy here on YouTube. So I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.